And there was a thing where you and Suge were at his house in Beverly Hills, I think, and you guys started wrestling or something. Can you tell that story?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a funny story. So we went to his house in Beverly Hills. It was like the whole Death Row crew.
Mm-hmm.
It was for like the Laker playoff games. So we were there having drinks, and I remember me and Sugar out in the patio by his kitchen, and we had a couple drinks. I don't know, we started like slap fighting. You know how you do, like sometimes fucking around, whatever, you know? And, you know, it's so stupid. And then we start smacking, and then, you know, one person catches somebody a little harder than the other, and then next thing you know, I remember I tagged him one time good, and I see he got pissed off too, and then so I was like, oh shit, you know, it's on. Meanwhile, I'm squared up with him, and we're kind of going at it, you know what I mean? But not like full on fighting or anything, you know what I mean? But to where like, you know, whatever. And all of a sudden somebody grabs me from the back, you know what I mean? And so I turn around. I learned when I was younger, someone grabbed me from the back, I dropped down, I turned around, grabbed them, and by the waist, and put him on top of the counter, and like got him off me, you know what I mean? Threw him on the counter. Dude was like an R&B singer from a famous R&B group. I was surprised, like, and I remember I told him, what the fuck are you doing helping Suge? You think Suge needs help fighting me? You know what I mean? And as I'm saying that, Suge grabs me from the back in a chokehold, and then me and him go down on the kitchen floor and started like wrestling, you know what I mean? And I think like Butch and some other people, I remember everybody was watching the game, and I remember my homies from the Booyah Tribe, a couple were looking in the room like, what the fuck is Vegas doing? You know what I mean? I just remember they had this bewildered look on their face, like, is he trying to fight Suge? Like, what the fuck? And I remember I was fucking pissed at that point, because I was pissed that dude had grabbed me from the back, you know what I mean? When it was just me and Suge kind of messing around. Like, I think he maybe trying to get brownie points with Suge or something, who knows? And then Suge got me, you know what I mean? I tapped, hey, that's it, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie, he's a big motherfucker, you know what I mean? He grabbed me from the back like that, you know, anyway. So everybody breaks it up, we go outside, and Suge's like, calm down, because I was pissed at the other dude more than Suge. Like, I felt like that was a cheap shot. And Suge was like, no, we need to squash this shit. Suge was laughing though, he liked it. Like, he liked like that kind of like when crazy shit would pop off, you know, and I think he liked the fact that when I grabbed dude and threw him on the counter or whatever, you know, no disrespect to that guy either, because, you know, he's a tough guy too. And anyway, so we go out on the patio, and Suge's like, you guys need to make up, you know what I mean? Like, shake hands, you know, like we were kids or something. But, you know, he was right. So we shook hands, and then we all started laughing. And the dude was like, man, I didn't mean it like that. And I'm like, whatever, dude, I'm sorry, or whatever, you know, stupid shit when you're drinking and fucking smacking Suge Knight. You know,
not many can say they did
which
that.
I don't suggest you do. I always like, me and Suge had a good relationship most of the time. You know what I mean? To where I felt like we could do some shit like that, and it was cool, you know? So that's one thing I did like about Death Row at times, is how many times are you going to be hanging out with the CEO of the label, and they're going to be hanging out with you, partying with you. You could talk to him about music and different shit, you know? But, you know, there was two sides to him, just like there's two sides to everybody, you know? So you got to be on your toes. But I never seen like him do like too much crazy shit, you know, a couple things, you know?
We do this thing where we do like a roll call where I'll name some people that were around or some artists, and you kind of just give me like your first story or memory that pops up in your head. Are you cool to do that? Okay. Can we start off with Big Jake?
Big Jake, he was a cool dude, man. I was super stoked that he was gonna be helping me get my deal at Death Row. And, you know, he was really excited about it. You could tell that he, you know, he was like Suge's bodyguard, right-hand man type dude, but he was like a smart dude at the same time. And so I think he had big plans in the music business, you know, because how could you not when you're around Suge every day, and the most powerful label in the record business at that time. So he was really cool and going to kind of take me under his wing, and that's just a terrible thing to happen.
Okay. What about Crooked I?
Super talented dude. Like, I feel like he should have been way bigger than what he was. If his shit would have dropped at that time when we were working on that shit, it would have been like the craziest shit ever. Like, I just, you know, we don't talk really at this point over some music business shit. That's kind of stupid that I forgive him for anyway. I don't know how he feels about shit, but you know, we always had a great relationship before that. Like we worked on probably 3 albums together, you know, like to where I would, you know, I had my studio in Huntington where I would go scoop him up sometimes. This is when we were young, you know what I mean? He was younger than me. Scoop him up, go to the studio stuff. And I just knew that he was super talented. Like the shit that the punchlines that he would say, I have unreleased stuff on Crook to this day right now that the world hasn't heard. I have his whole albums. You know what I mean? And I sit back and listen to it sometimes like, dude, this shit was fucking insane.
Yeah.
So I hope maybe one day we talk again and you know, squash the shit.
Okay. What about Zapp?
Zapp, he was a smart dude, represented himself well. He got in trouble trying to get money to help start a record label. I was working with his young homie from his neighborhood, Trayvon, and another dude I was supposed to work with, Faux Bent. They call him Faux Cent, and then he ended up being Billboard. He ended up getting shot. But Zapp had introduced me to him, and then Dre was going to be working with him as well, too. This is before I signed to Death Row.
Okay.
So he was introducing me to some people and stuff. He got caught up making moves in the streets and ended up going to the pen. And what's crazy is they were supposed to be putting money aside for him and for Buntry from the percentage I was going to give them for a management fee. He was not getting that money that they were telling me they were giving him.
Gotcha.
So it sucks. I thought that sucked, but I think Suge and him ended up, they worked things out now, and I think they still talk to this day and stuff. But
okay.
He's still a friend of mine to this day. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. What about any stories or memories with Eastwood?
Yeah, I mean, shit. Eastwood was in the studio with me all the time. He was a young dude that came in. He was a good athlete. I think he was like almost a pro basketball player at one point. But we worked on probably 50 songs together, so I don't know how many. But he was always cool, a lot of energy, super dope, super talented guy. I feel like he should have blew up too. You know, there was so much talent over there that signed deals were all expecting to be pushed and have all this stuff happen, and it didn't happen. And, you know, I feel for all those other artists. Like you know, say Stranded on Death Row, that was a real thing. Yeah. You know, when a lot of us were, other people wanted to give us deals, even though Suge had told me, hey, I'm not going to fuck up anything that you get going. You know what I mean? Whatever, we're parting our ways or whatever, for whatever reasons, I'm not going to get in the way. But I would have big deals where major labels about to go down, but then whoever's in charge would be like, nah, if he was with Suge, who knows what's going to happen? He might show up here and, you know. But Eastwood, I would like Eastwood. We did some other dope ass shit after Death Row days together that I got to. Okay.
What about Booyah Tribe?
Those were my good homies. I toured around the world with them. Monsters, one of my best friends, great bass player. R.I.P. Gangsta Rid and Godfather. I mean, we went to New Zealand together, Japan, Taiwan, a lot of things in Vegas together. Crazy weeks out there for the Magic Show. And you know, how it started with them is I was a DJ at a club out here called 5902. Shout out to Tony Verdugo. He was the one that ran it, and Booyah that was like their stomping ground. So I was a DJ, and they were there, and like No Doubt would play there, Korn would play there, like Sublime and the Booyah Tribe. And I just was so stoked on them because they came in and they were doing like rap and rock together. And they were the first ones really doing cornrows with Dickies and Chucks, playing rock music, all tatted up with red bandanas and shit, you know. So they were dudes way ahead of their time to me.
Okay. Last one, Snoop.
Snoop. I really only had, what's crazy is after Death Row, I did another song called Welcome to California, and he was featured on there. It came out on 40 Glock's album, but it was Snoop, E40, Too Short, Exhibit, and Snoop all on one song. That shit was all over the, you know, the videos and radio and stuff. But I didn't talk to him in the studio at all. I you know, remixed that beat and everything, and then 40 took it sent it to him. Everybody did their verses and stuff and came back, and you know, my homie C-Sick mixed it down, and the song was super dope. If it wasn't for Snoop jumping on Dipping in My Lolo and Big C Style started me off, I mean, to me, that was my first big check that allowed me to quit my job. So, and then I ended up doing a bunch of songs that he was on, but we weren't in the studio together. So you know, he's someone that I always thought was a super talented, dope dude, but we didn't really like have much interaction because I went to Death Row and that's when he had left Death Row. So it was like, you know, I never had no beef with Snoop, even though rappers, like I would make beats and rappers would say things about Snoop. You know, the only time I was like, what the fuck is going on is when he dissed the Row, you know what I mean? So we dissed back, you know? So I would do the beat, and I don't agree with everything that was said on some of those records. I thought some of the shit shouldn't have been said, but I don't know. Suge loved that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At that time, you know, he was like, fuck that. You know, I want you guys to ride on this. You know what I mean? He was the one in charge. So it was like, you know, as an artist, the artist just, people are just trying to get put on.
Yeah.
So they'd jump on the songs and say whatever, you know.